So next we're going to look at multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So I want to quickly just remind you of how we multiply and divide fractions. So if we're multiplying 2/3 times 7/4, we multiply straight across. So 2 times 7 is 14, and 3 times 4 is 12. So if we were to simplify that, they're both divisible by 2, and you would be left with 7/6. Another quick way to do that is you could think about 2/4. That's going to simplify to 1/2. And so 1 times 7 would get you 7, and 3 times 2 would get you 6. Now, if you're dividing fractions, remember that dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we would keep 3/7. We would change it to multiplication of the reciprocal, which is 5/9. So if we were to multiply across, 3 times 5 is 15, and 7 times 9 is 63. Both of these are going to be divisible by, 3? And so if we divide 15 by 3, we get 5. And if we divide 63 by 3, we would get 21. Now, another quick way to do that is instead think of 3/9 as 1/3. And so 1 times 5 is 5, and 7 times 3 is 21. So applying this to multiplying and dividing rational expressions, the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to factor all polynomials in the numerator and denominator. If you're multiplying, remember that you just multiply across. So you're going to multiply across. And if dividing, remember to multiply by the reciprocal. I know you guys tend to like saying copy, change, flip. I prefer to say multiply by the reciprocal, but you can write down whatever it is that's going to be helpful to you. And after you've done that, then you can simplify your common factors. So let's try a couple of examples. Let me erase these because I already have those answers there. So our first example is multiplication. So 8x squared minus 8x over x squared plus 2x minus 3 times x squared plus x minus 6 over 4x. So we are going to factor every single piece here. So 8x squared minus 8x has a GCF of 8x, that when I factor that out, we're left with x minus 1. The denominator is a quadratic trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. So that means we can use our shortcut, and we can say, what are two numbers that multiply to be -3 and add to be 2? That would be +3 and -1. So this would factor to be x plus 3 times x minus 1. Then we're multiplying. So I'm going to keep this fraction as it is, but factored. So x squared plus x minus 6, again, a leading coefficient of 1, means I can use the shortcut. So what numbers multiply to -6 and add to 1? That would be +3 and -2. So x plus 3 times x minus 2. And then 4x isn't going to factor any further. Since we multiply straight across, this is essentially one giant fraction where all of this is in the numerator and all of this is in the denominator. So now we're looking for factors that we can simplify. So a factor of x minus 1 in both the numerator and denominator simplifies to 1. A factor of x plus 3 in the numerator and denominator simplifies to 1. I can see right now that I have 8 times x minus 2 over 4x. I'm just rewriting that so you can see it a little bit better. This is just like saying 8 times x minus 2 and 4 times x. So this x is a factor of the numerator and the denominator, so those can simplify. And then 8 over 4 can simplify to 2 over 1. So we end up left with 2 times the quantity x minus 2 over 1, which you can write or you don't have to since it's just over 1. So that would be our final answer. A very similar process for division. You just have to remember that dividing by this fraction is multiplying by its reciprocal. So 5x does not factor any further, but 3x minus 12 factors to 3 times the quantity x minus 4. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to multiplication. And as I factor the numerator, I'm going to put the factored form in the denominator. So x squared minus x has a GCF of x. We will factor that out and be left with x minus 1. X squared minus 6x plus 8 factors to x minus 2 times x minus 4. Again, using the shortcut because -2 and -4 multiply to 8 and add to -6. So we can see here that x minus 4 is a factor of the numerator and denominator. We also have x right here and right here in the numerator and denominator. So those will also simplify to 1. So in our numerator, we have 5 and the quantity x minus 2. So 5 times the quantity x minus 2. And our denominator is 3 times the quantity x minus 1. And that would be our final answer because it cannot simplify any further.